70 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Kolodziej. Ethnically, it's a Polish name, and the American pronunciation is Kolodziej, without the role. And I want to introduce Dr. Vogel. Dr. Vogel is the chairman of the board of our board of directors, and also a pioneer, literally, of sustainability and renewable energy in the United States.
Thank you. Actually, my partner, Dr. Sonia Vogel, is back there, and we work as a team. On occasion, just one of us might speak. We were PhD students at the University of Michigan in resource management with the launching of the first Earth Day. It was piloted there, brought industry together, and it was a very unique experience. There were a couple of highlights from that. One was the fact that we buried a car. The thought was it would be the end of the automobile age. I think the car became organic because there's a lot of growth in that industry since. We also, two of our major professors were from the Johnson administration. And one told us of the Santa Barbara oil spill. That led to our environmental movement. Johnson needed money to pay for the war and war in poverty. He told the advisor, I want the oil, and if you don't give it to me, you'll be fired. I'll get someone else who will. So we gave him the oil, and we had the oil spill. And that impacted the Nixon administration because his political support was from Santa Barbara, where the oil washed up on the shores. The second point was we had another professor who was one of McNamara's whiz kids, Department of Defense. And Johnson wanted to win that Vietnam War, so he was going to call up all of the commercial airlines, fly combat units with all their equipment to react to the Quezon, I think it was, the invasion there. And the whiz kid calculated that they couldn't do it. And with that wry smile, he let us know that was deliberate because they felt that the war was wrong. But that led to a reaction within the federal government, which we had very conservative presence there, and they have changed the nature of how Washington operates with those two concerns in mind. So it's very important to watch what our federal government does. And right now, the oil industry, coal, natural gas, is putting real pressure. And we're talking about having 100 years of shale gas. And of course, if that does happen, then it undermines support, weakens support for renewables. But when that happened, the last time the renewable support came in, there was a group of people who got together and sponsored energy fairs to keep that idea alive. And so that's what we have been doing in the States, and that's been the base of expansion for renewable energy. And fortunately, we gathered the support of the chairman of Winnebago County and the board, and they have funded the renewable energy effort at Freedom Field, which Chet will describe for you. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Swope. As I like to say, is that we stand on the shoulders of pioneers, actually pioneers in the United States in this area. Specifically, Freedom Field is designed as a demonstration site. And we are actually unique in the United States of America, where we have combinations of renewable energy in one place. We're unique in, except in a national research lab. Okay, that's fine. And excuse me. What we have, just in a very quick summary, and there's some papers over there describing us, is that we have 12.3 kilowatts of solar PV. Those solar panels are actually made about 2 miles from our facility, 3 kilometers. We have 200,000 BTUs of concentrated solar thermal for heat. We have a 10 kilowatt traditional wind turbine, and we have a 1.2 kilowatt vertical wind turbine. And we also have a 200,000 BTU two-stage biogasifier. That would be about 60 kW in this, all integrated into one system. And we have a number of other things that are also integrated. And the whole idea is to demonstrate that these things work to primarily the manufacturers in Rockford and in the region. I think we could summarize that we're about education, outreach, and leadership. The education is we work with local universities and community colleges in exposing their students to renewable energy. And in fact, we had this summer, we had 10 interns, of which 7 of them found jobs, not at Starbucks, and 2 of them actually started businesses. So we're supporting entrepreneurship on the ground level. We also work with Northern Illinois University with our data store. I skipped over that. We have a weather station and a control system, a SCADA system, that tracks 130 data points continuously. And what we do is we store those in 1-minute increments. So we can take that data and match the outside temperature, the time of day, the solar radiance, and then the output of our solar thermal system or our PV system. And one of the things we found out, there's a rumor that you can't make solar power, PV, in cold climates. Actually, you make more power, okay, the colder it gets. We get about 25% more power at 0 Fahrenheit than we do at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And it amazes even the engineers, but it's a simple process in material science. Our outreach is that we're working with the local manufacturers. I have 2 companies that we're mentoring right now that are putting in, one is putting in 16 kilowatts of solar PV, and another one about 7 kilowatts of PV right now. And based on our expanding their knowledge of how this works, the incentives and things like that, we would like to, one of my goals is to have about 10 installations in the community. Our local electric union just bought 150 panels, which is about 35 kilowatts, and they're going to put them in 2 locations. None of this would happen without the leadership of the county board chair, Dr. Zwolo, and our board of directors. So education, outreach, and leadership, we think that we're groundbreaking in the community, and we hope to expand outside of that. Last thing, I'll go real quick. I actually go to the National Renewable Energy Lab in Denver, Colorado every year for an investment conference. And since 2004, the companies there have raised $3.4 billion US for commercializing renewable energy and efficiency. This is really a big time conference, so you really see what is going to happen. Not in the research lab where I have another connection, but actually what's coming to market. Unfortunately, I think one of the problems we have in the States is we don't have consistent policies. And as an example, they have 34 companies every year present their business plans. 3 years ago, everything was ethanol. Ethanol, ethanol, ethanol. In the United States, when we talk about bioenergy, it's not wood, it's not agricultural waste, it's ethanol and biodiesel. So it's really on the sidelines. 2 years ago, it was carbon, 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 carbon. Because we thought we were going to have carbon tax, et cetera. That'll blow up. We're not like Europe. And last year, I thought was interesting is that the code word was green breaks ties. In other words, we were talking about economics. And if the payback was not good, we're not going to do it. If the payback was somewhat even, we'll go with the green. So this is really switched policy-wise in the U.S. And really what makes it difficult is when you can only, like in Illinois, a power plant, can't finance a 17-year payback solar installation at the bank based on a 3-year PPA. So we're doing some work through the Illinois Solar Energy Association, a number of other associations, guerrilla warfare, trying to get carve-outs for longer paybacks. By the way, I ask audiences, what's the payback in a coal-fired plant? And people shake their heads. And when I tell them 32 years, they can't believe it. So you talk about discrimination. 32 years, okay to finance coal. That's the reason why is they have a guaranteed market. It's the utilities. So I'm not going to rave about the power structure. I was just going to say some of the details. One last thing, and I think on a leadership standpoint, I don't think even the rest of the delegation is aware of this, but we are putting in the area about a 1,000-acre industrial park adjacent to our airport, and probably the biggest development we've had in the community in 30, 40 years. We're planning right now the utilities, and one of the things that we're doing through the leadership of the county board chair, and also we can do it now because we actually have a demonstration these things work, is we're going to carve out about 75 to 100 acres of that into a eco-industrial park. And the lens here is wood, because you have wood resources. We have a unique resource right next door to this industrial park. It's called a huge waste dump. And right now, they are already generating about 6.4 megawatts of electrical power through methane wells in the waste dump. And unfortunately, we're wasting all the heat. And so we're going to carve this out. And right now, the plans are to put in maybe 100 starter, 100 kilowatts of solar PV, more or less as a demonstration. We're talking about putting in a mid-size wind turbine, about 250 kilowatt wind turbine. We're looking at using the wells, both not only for water and fire suppression, but also for geothermal. We use that cold water for chilling. And also using the waste gas, we're looking for a kind of a launch company that uses a lot of power and heat in order to, and we will pump that additional waste gas to that facility, and they can put it in cogeneration. And we think it'll be a unique, very unique, but also a lucrative situation. We do have some examples in the States. Johnson's Wax, Kimberly Park, where they pump gas as far as 17 miles from waste dump and cogen, both for electric power and for the heat. So I think we're on our way. And then lastly, I think Nancy talked a little bit about an agreement we have between our region and this region here to share information on renewable energy technologies. I was glad to see about the biochar, because we've been making biochar for about a year and a half, and maybe we can share some information. You're doing it here on a larger scale than we are. So there'll be a lot of learning. We're going to learn from you, and hopefully we'll be able to contribute some learning to this group and to this region. Lastly, I feel like I'm at home. My wife and I yesterday were traveling around, and my second home is northern Wisconsin. And the architecture is a little different, but farming is similar. It just had the same feel. So hopefully I'll be back often, and hopefully I'll swipe some of your great ideas, and hopefully we'll pass a few back here. So thank you very much for the opportunity.